Alright, so for today's page, I'm drawing a few different trees. Now, I have tried to draw some different forest scenes about a week or two ago, but here I'm mainly focused on the leaves and some branches. Now, in the first two squares, you can see that there's a background, which could either be a bunch of more trees or some kind of hill or mountain. And on the third square, I attempted to draw some branches with leaves falling off, kind of like an autumn look. And I also wrote down a lot of different techniques, shadow and lighting. And this is a reminder page for when I really get into the sketching. Here, this is just very rough. I really tried my best to pay attention to every single line I'm putting down. And sometimes when I'm making abstract drawings, I just get into the flow and I'm really not worried or even paying attention to every line I'm putting down because it's so automatic. But here I have to focus a little bit more and really just slowing down, creating lines as slow as possible, being patient. That's the most important thing. Practicing and studying is very important, but what I've recognized throughout this process is that slowing down, being patient, is probably the most important thing. And then second would be having an actual desire to draw, because sometimes you're just not in the mood to create something, and so it's not going to work out. I've noticed I really have to have a craving, a hunger for the lines that I'm putting down. Pay attention to each individual millimeter of the page. Every line I put down has care. I'm putting all that I have into this little microscopic thing on the page, and I'm actually paying attention to it. I'm not just making a line and then forgetting about it. I'm looking at the line as I make it, and then before I go to the next line, I look at that one and see, okay, was that good? So that's kind of how I was thinking while I was doing all of this. And this is the first time of me really drawing trees. I've drew some branches without any leaves on them last week, but from what I remember, I don't think I've drawn nature. Maybe when I was young, but I can't remember. But we're kind of restarting, I guess, with this. So there's a lot to learn, and what I really like in the middle of the page that I drew were the spheres and ovals, because if you look at trees or anything in nature, you'll notice that it's just shapes. Everything on this planet is a combination of shapes, whether it be simple or complicated. And once you know that, then I feel like drawing can become easier. Now, I was beginning to write down some different species and names of different trees, and I'll probably save that for later, because here I'm just really figuring it all out, because I haven't drawn any trees this year, or for as long as I can remember, so it's the beginning. The second page, I'll do more research on actual real trees, pine trees, birch, maple, and once I write all of these different species and trees that I want to draw, then I'll pick one individual plant and then work on that. Here, there's just it's kind of a chaotic mess. There's a lot of different bushes, saplings. Once I'm able to master drawing an individual tree, then I'll move on to the background and trying to draw the landscape, the grass, adding all of that in, and then maybe a house or a little tent, and then I can create a full picture later on. I do want to make full actual sized trees. These are all very small drawings here in the squares. So this is just the start, okay? I'll do more dark ink and layering it all in. I really need to focus on the lighting and having the shadow of the tree give that effect. What I'll do is focus on making realistic trees, giving the leaves a realistic looking texture, and also creating my own different shapes. You know, if you're an artist, you should be doing that as well. Learn all of the basics and the correct ways of doing things, but then once you've done that, you can break the rules and make your own little things. Depending on, if you're want to be a professional artist, then if you just like drawing, then you can literally just do whatever you want, I guess, which is kind of what I do. But I'm trying to learn all of the actual skills, so that's all for this video.